because speech is just a verbal idea. And the more precise we speak, the more precisely we think. The 10th rule is to be precise in your speech. And by that, even Dr. Peterson makes the immediate connection with knock and the door will be open. Now, what's the connection between the two things? Well, if our entire life is spent creating a narrative, we start in one frame of mind and we end in another. We move from being here on the grace spectrum to being somewhere else on the grace spectrum. We move from earth to heaven. And we tell that narrative to ourselves through the things that we do, our likes, our dislikes, the people we meet, the amount of time we spend attempting to perfect ourselves in that struggle to roll the stone up the hill again and again for its own sake. Then the preciseness of our speech is necessary, because speech is just a verbal idea. And the more precise we speak, the more precisely we think. And the clearer we think, the more efficient we become in that journey along our narrative, reducing our potential to act all the quicker and more efficaciously or efficiently. We have too many choices. Most people spend most of their youth and young adulthood trying to keep all the doors open. We want limited or unlimited potential in our lives. We like it. I can do this. I can be this. I can be a fireman, an astronaut, a priest. I can do all these things. And yet, all of a sudden, from the minute that we're born, those doors start to close. Circumstances define those things. We're too old. We're too short. We're too fat. We're too bald. And that's just the things that we have no control over. What about the things that we do? Every choice that we make either keeps a door open or closes it. And as we progress through life, we need to be able to articulate that plan that we have for ourselves. Which door will we walk through and why? And in being precise in our language, we are being precise in our thinking, and therefore we are choosing aright. Not always the easiest, but the best for us. And so to speak with precision is to focus our potential. It's to ask the right questions of ourselves and of the world that we engage with. Ultimately, without precise speech, we don't know how to talk to God. When we think of prayer, most of us, I think, concentrate on the repetition. A prayer is something that we read. It's not really something that we speak, even though it might be vocal. But a true prayer, I would argue, or at least another way of looking at prayer, is to focus on the intention and then spend the time distilling that intention into as few words as possible to make it laser focused. And we see this within the Mass that we say, this ancient liturgy that's been passed down to us for generation after generation, for millennia. The older the prayer is, the shorter it is, the more condensed it is, the more focused that intention. Oh God, who has done these things for us, do this now for us in the name of your saint, because he has exemplified these attributes. Simple, focused, absolutely encapsulating a whole panoply of different ideas focused into one simple sentence. That would seem to be a better mode of prayer. And so when people come to me and ask, Father, I feel very dry or arid in my prayer life, I don't know what to say, I get distracted so easily when I'm saying my rosary or I'm trying to do my holy hour, I'm too busy worrying about the children or what to do at work or what's for dinner that night, that I'm really not achieving much and I get discouraged and I want to give up. And the answer has to be, or the answer is, at least if you ask me, to focus your intentions and be more precise in your speech. If you spend longer thinking about exactly what it is that you want from your prayer life, what do you want God to do? If prayer is a petition, then the more precise that petition, the more likely it is of being heard and understood. If it's just a vague petition for generalities, then you'll get a general response. So focus your intention. I want to pray for my husband, for his intentions. Well, what is our intention? What does he want? Why are you praying for? I'm praying for him to do, particularly if you're married, whatever I ask him to do, whenever I want him to do it. That's very common. But it'd be better, I want my husband to get to heaven. I want him to take his spiritual life more seriously. I want him to embrace Christ more closely. And in that embrace, that has to be understood to be sacrifice, a willingness to give up what he would prefer to do for what he needs to do. And so that then can form and transform your prayer into one sentence. And then if you need the words given to your church and hallowed by time, you say something simple, something meaningful. The Hail Mary, the Hail Holy Queen, the Our Father. Because duration of prayer isn't the same as quality of prayer. And quality of prayer is locked more with the intention, and duration is just locked in terms of the amount of time spent. Now, obviously, we would want the two things to come together. The more perfect intention and the longer duration will be a better prayer. But for most of us living in the world, it's a question of where do you put your time? Because time is a commodity that we don't get back. And so therefore, I would encourage you to be precise in your prayer. Spend more time thinking about the intention than the recitation of the prayer itself. And by being more precise, you knock on that door more sharply, and it will be opened unto you.